Hello and welcome to the Sutliffian Report. Today, I have a lot in store because we're covering a shocking topic. This is the beginning of covering the book in Shariah known as the Book of Justice. This is where we're going to be talking about jihad and many other horrible things. And their concept of justice is definitely not ours. And we're going to just touch on that when we talk about the topic of retaliation. Uh, it's not a favorite topic. So because we're going to be talking about the Islamic concept of retaliation, which is required in their faith structure. I picked a biblical passage which has to do with the opposite, which is what Christianity is really about. It is the opposite. So this comes from 1 John chapter 1, verses 2 and 4. For the life was manifested, and we have seen it, and bear witness, and show unto you that eternal life, which was with the Father, and was manifested unto us. That which we have seen and heard, declare we unto you, that you also may have fellowship with us. And truly, our fellowship is with the Father, and with his Son, Jesus Christ. And these things write we unto you, that your joy may be full. So here the true purpose of John's first epistle is revealed. If the reader learns who Jesus is and what he has done through John's sharing of the good news, the reader can share in his fellowship with God Almighty in the persons of the Father and the Son. Verse 4 here seems to say it all. They are missing something. They're missing an element of joy in their lives that John wants to grant them through the sharing of the good news of Jesus Christ. Again, Christ is the Greek word for Messiah. How many friends, neighbors, and more have we kept silent from, sharing the great and glorious news of this God who loves so much? How many have we not told so that they can be safe and comfortable and having less joy? As I write this, I admit I'm also guilty. Yet I have known some who could not shut up. There's this one young man I knew who came to Christ at a drug rehab center. His life had been filled with what he thought were reasons to be happy. He had girls, drugs, money. He was willing and daring to take on what seemed to be any task. He was athletic, good-looking, and the envy of most his age. But when he found Christ, the excitement level can only be described in terms of a river of water of life springing up from within, overflowing with joy. He had no choice but to share what had changed his life. Now, I grew up with this guy. He was in many ways a friend. I shared the good news of Christ with him, but I've been punched and knocked down time after time. Yeah, I'd go over his house and say, Eric, what you need is a real high. Try Jesus. He'd punch me and I'd lay down. Yeah, that's about how it happened over and over again. Then I saw that joy. I was cautious at first, but there is something about seeing someone who was against Christ. And just think about Saul turning into Paul, where Christ called him on the road to Damascus. That's what I saw in this young man. We could fellowship now. This young man taught me, it's funny, his excitement for Christ, his love of God taught me things I didn't learn as I was studying to be a pastor back then. And I still look at that with great joy. And my friend Eric has been dead a good many years. He died very young, just before he got married. Yeah, he was supposed to be married. God took him, and it was hard for a lot of people, but you know what it's like when someone accepts Christ and you go to that funeral? You know exactly where they are. You're a little bit sad, but you're rejoicing because he is with the Savior. he loved. I think of him, I want to be as bold as him. I'm getting better and better at this, but I notice, where is my calling? And my calling is more teaching. So I'm teaching what part of this, my hope is that I'm teaching young evangelists. I'm what I mean by young is you can be older, but you might not consider yourselves evangelists yet. But if you're going out and sharing the good news by stuff that you're learning here, that's all that matters to me, because my calling is teaching, advising, helping. But evangelist, I do that too, but my calling is in teaching and helping people learn how to reach others for Christ. That's where my calling is. I'm just kind of excited, and I say this not saying I'm happy about the topic we're covering, because it's a little freaky. It's not a topic I like. I'll be point blank about it. I don't like this topic. It sickens me. I put as the picture, it says, "Hello, my name is Revenge." Retaliation is all about revenge. And I'm going to keep saying this sickens me. And even when I talk with Usama and Yusuf about it, I am still stuck. There are things that are hard for me to grasp. And I think that's because I grew up in a loving family. You'll meet people in your life, they are easy to not forgive. In fact, it's harder for them to forgive. They have to work at it. And I think somehow the way my parents raised me, it's a little easier than it is for others. And that's the only thing I can do is give credits to my parents for that. I think that has to do with how you're raised or what happens in your life to change you. This concept that we're getting into, retaliation, has to do with a hatred that wells up from within and requires action. And we're not allowed as Christians to hold hatred in our heart. We're not allowed to hold hatred. We're supposed to be forgiving. Does that mean we have to give up and go say, "I forgive you" all the time? Do we have to trust after someone's broken our faith so many times? No. You can forgive, but you don't have to place yourself in that line to be the fool. Now, I do want to point out, I put something on the side on this. It says Part 81, the Book of Crimes. So this gets interesting. We're going to get into this first thing here. And let me get this mouse in the right spot. Hopefully. All right. They call this the Book of Justice. When you use Google Translate, you get Book of Crimes. I was talking about this word, and it's interesting. Is it the Book of Crimes or Book of Justice? Doesn't that sound like a total opposite? If it's a Book of Crimes, it's things you can do, not to achieve justice. So I'm going to, ask some more questions about this with my friends who do speak Arabic. I'm a little curious because, we keep finding how they're lying to us about translations, and then Google's lying to us about the translation, which I ran into a lot this week. And that, to me, is not a surprise considering the topic we're getting into. It kind of disgusts me, to be honest. All right, here we go. Ed, would you mind reading first? Ooh. Ed, you here?
Okay, yeah, be glad to.
What I'd like you to do is to read the left side, and then when you're done, I want to show what's really messed up on the left. On the right, I mean. Okay.
Okay, just All of it, or
Yeah, just straight through the left side.
okay. Uh, who is subject to retaliation for injurious crimes? Committed with injurious weapons, but those inflicted otherwise as well, such as with sorcery. Oh, great. Killing without right is after unbelief, one of the very worst enormities, as Shafi explicitly states in the epitome. The Prophet Allah blessed him
I don't
and
read
give
that part.
him that.
He's pieces. He doesn't get
Yeah.
blessed.
Uh-huh. The blood of a the blood of a Muslim man who testifies that there is no God but Allah, and that I am the messenger of Allah, is not lawful to shed unless he be one of three. Hmm, sounds like God to me. Married adulterer, someone killed in retaliation for killing another, or someone who abandons his religion and the Muslim community.
All right,
Okay.
I'm going to point out some really weird things here. Um, you know the word retaliated? That was not in the Google translation. And having a discussion with Yusuf, and talking with other people, trying to figure things out, that is so messed up. This Google Translate, there's got to be a Muslim who is actively working to distort translations from Arabic scriptures.
I agree.
It's frustrating. It is frustrating because if you want to be scholarly and you don't know the language and you want to use something that translates, something is evil that does this kind of thing. Even this term, injurious crimes, again, we have a problem. Here's the real problem. And I asked, you notice over here on the right, you don't see the word injurious. Do you want to know the real reason why? That word injurious that's in Arabic, it's hidden. And what I mean by hidden is it's there, but today most people don't know what that word is. They're totally confused. They see it, they don't know what it means, and that's a problem. So we run into that. Watch, I'm going to get through
Oh,
this on the right.
before you
Hi,
go,
Nico. Nico, yep.
but
Yeah,
before
sorry,
you
guys.
go, I just want to say right here, this highlighted in yellow in the first part, that is Major Shirk.
Yes, we'll get there. Thank you. um, I want to point out there's something in that yellow section, and I want you to just think about those first 1, 2, 5 words, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 words. I'll say 6 words. The blood of a Muslim man. I want you to stop there for now while you're thinking about this, and then while I cover this, I want you to think about this. All right, I'm going to read a little bit on the right, and you tell me, does this align? Again, this is the Google Translate version. And killing unjustly is one of the greatest major sins after disbelief. Okay, so if you don't believe, that's the greater sin. Okay, if you believe, you can kill, but it's not the worst thing. Okay, the blood of a Muslim. Then this Al Shafi states the blood of a Muslim who testifies that there is no God but Allah, and that here we go. Who's stating this? Al Shafi is stating this. Pay attention here. The blood of a Muslim who testifies that there is no God but Allah, and that who is the messenger of Allah? Al Shafi?
Interesting.
So, it's interesting the way it reads. I'm just going to, again, I'm reading it from the way the Google Translate is. And then if you look on the left, they fix it a bit. The question is, did they fix it already on the right? I don't know. The blood of a Muslim man on the left who testifies that there is no God but Allah and that I am the messenger. But again, there's nothing here above this that says the prophet is speaking. We're going to get into this, where this has come from. But, yeah. There is no God but Allah, and that I am the messenger of Allah is not permissible except in one of three cases. Notice on the right, this one kills me. The gray-haired adulterer. Do you see that on the left?
Nope.
I see a married adulterer. And if you study Islam, thanks for hitting the like button, people. Please do hit that like button. And subscribe if you haven't, please. What I find humorous here is these differences. And we got to start thinking, when we're talking about retaliation, yeah, blood of a Muslim man who testifies. So we have, again, this is a huge statement. The that first pillar is a statement of shirk, because it doesn't allow Allah to be believed without a belief in Muhammad, which means they're inseparable, which means Allah has a partner. Yeah.
Yep.
You see that word "and"? It doesn't say "or."
Yeah, that's a conjunction.
It doesn't. Yeah. This. Yeah. So yeah, or and are conjunctions, but this and you can't have. You have to have both, or you have to have none for it to be true. Yeah. That's a problem for Islam. I'm going to go back to the right, and then we're going to go on to this next one. Gray-haired adultery, a life for a life. So we're talking about eye for an eye type thing. And one who abandons his religion, separates from the community in the Hadith, killing a believer is greater in the sight of Allah than the loss of his worldly life. All right. And we're going to read this, and we're going to go straight into the next part of this passage. Allah the Almighty said, "Do not kill this soul which Allah has forbidden, except by right." And this comes from Al-Anam. This is in the Quran. And Allah said, "Oh, you who have believed, prescribed for you is legal retribution." Hey, welcome back, Rad. Legal retribution. So you can take action. Retaliation requires action. It's not just how you feel. It's something you must do. This is the thing we have to pay attention to. This comes from Surah 2, 178. Thank you, Usama. "Oh, you who have believed, retaliation is decreed on you for the murdered, the free man for the free, the slave for the slave, and the female for the female. So whoever pardons his brother in anything, so follow it with fairness, and perform to him with goodness. This is an alleviation from your Lord and of mercy. So whoever transgresses after that, so he will have a painful torment." So if a free man murders a free man, retaliation means you kill the free man. If a free man kills his slave, you go and kill his slave. It's not like the slave did anything wrong over there, but that's how it works. If somebody kills your wife, you go over and kill their wife. And this brings me back to a student I had. Oh, wow. It's about 30 years ago. He was trying to tell me the difference of the way people in Lebanon and this area, people call themselves Palestinians, how they view life as different. And he just turned to me and he said, "What would you rather lose? Your wife or your land?" I said, "My land, no problem at all. That's an easy choice." He says, "That's why you don't understand us." I was like, "What? What do you mean?" He says, "Our way of believing things, seeing things, is we realize we can always get a new wife, but you can never get your land back." And again, growing up in the West, all I got to do is earn the money. You could probably buy it back easily. But transgressions, retaliation, and it's required, even in this verse. An eye for an eye. It's
Hey, Paul,
yes,
if I could just interject here real quick.
please do.
Yeah. Well, first of all, okay, the question actually should be, for me, what would you rather have, the wife or the motorcycle? So that's what she said to me. And last I saw her, she was in Colorado. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, I wrote on. But no, seriously, on this topic, this is actually real. Okay, there are cases, for instance, in Pakistan, you can look this up, where two brothers have two wives they want to get rid of. One brother kills the one wife. Well, for retaliation, the other brother kills the other wife, and everybody's happy, except for two wives they just murdered.
Yes.
No, this really does happen.
Yes, it does.
You know, or a brother, or, or they want to get rid of a sister or a cousin or whatever. They just scheme with each other, and they end up killing. You know what I mean? No, this is like, yeah. Well, it's Islam. It's horrible. You know?
And it's approved. And this is, and that stuff, believe it or not, that he's talking about will never make the news because it's approved. Because you're following.
Yeah, and if you do talk about it, if you do talk about it, you're Islamophobic.
Yeah.
And not but not all Muslim brothers kill their wives, so it's not that big of a deal, right?
Well, if you killed your wife, this is where it gets interesting. You killed your wife, and the father of that daughter wants retaliation. So here's the horrible truth. The father of that little girl wants retaliation. He goes and kills his granddaughter. Because
actually, actually, the once the daughter is married off to the husband, she is no longer the father's property. She actually belongs to as property to the husband. That's why also you have cases. Well, they changed a lot in Saudi Arabia, but no, they have cases in the Islamic world and in Saudi Arabia just up until a few years ago, where the dude is murdering. The husband is murdering this man's daughter, and she calls her father, "Come help me," and he gets arrested. And the dude murders the daughter, and it's no big deal.
We've actually there's recent cases in Pakistan on that. Yeah, I've actually followed a couple on that. Usama, I've covered some on our news. It's and yes, this is a culture issue, but it's Islamic culture. It's not pagan culture. There's no culture in the world that I've ever heard of. Okay, I'm a social studies teacher. I've never heard of a culture that carries this to the extreme. And I'm going to talk to you about what that is in a minute. So let's go on from this. You'll see what I mean. Let's see.
Yeah,
Nico,
it's from the pit of hell.
I'm sorry?
I said, yeah, it's from the pit of hell.
All right. Nico, can you read 1.1 on the top?
Okay. Retaliation is obligatory if the person entitled wishes to take it against anyone who kills a human being purely, intentionally, and without right. Intentionally is the first restriction and excludes killing someone through an honest mistake, while purely excludes a mistake made in a deliberate injury. And without right excludes cases of justifiable homicide, such as lawful retaliation.
Okay, in Western world, has anybody ever heard of justifiable homicide as lawful retaliation?
Never.
Justifiable homicide is, okay, you came at me with a gun, and I shot you with my gun before you could kill me. That's justifiable homicide. All right. We don't call it justifiable homicide. We call it self-defense.
Self-defense.
Yeah.
That's oxymoron here.
The justifiable murder. Yeah, I think there are times we would probably say, oh, there's a case that I remember where I believe it was Texas. A father's daughter was raped. And that father went and killed that rapist. He went before a court in Texas, and they refused to call him guilty. They didn't say he was not guilty. It's a really interesting case because he didn't serve any time. And that's the only place I could think of justifiable homicide. But you don't see that in most Western countries, most Western areas. That you would never have that. But again, Texas is a little bit different, and that's why I call Texas justice a little bit different. Sometimes I like it more. Sometimes I sit back and wonder. All right. Notice down the bottom here. I should say the top. Read that yellow. Nico, read that top piece for again. That just the yellow part.
Retaliation is obligatory.
And what are we talking about, Nico? Are we talking about killing?
Revenge.
Revenge. Killing. I mean, this is another part that gets me. When we read through this, we talk about intentionality and without a right. Okay, if you kill without a right, what does that mean? Okay, you weren't killing because you had to commit a act of retaliation. You're the one who starts everything. Okay, what about the next one here? Killing someone through an honest mistake excludes. Can somebody please explain this one to me? A mistake made in deliberate injury. So I cut their neck and I didn't intend to kill them. Really? I mean, I cut their thigh completely off. I'm sorry they bled off and died. I mean, that is just gobbledygook to try and justify someone's death. Notice this justifiable homicide that follows.
That just makes you want to say,
Yes. Well done. All right. Now, this is a court case we're talking about this week. It's in the news. So here's what happened. On October 29th of 2020, a man went to this church, and I believe he killed 5 people. We're going to get into this in a second. This is in France. This man took quite the trip to get there. All right. This is Nice Basilica. It was an attack. Was attacked. In the trial, the accused admits to the facts. So this is something that is disgusting and sad. This is from the article. Brahim Awissawi, a Tunisian man in France. Notice a Tunisian Muslim in France. They never refer to him as a migrant. There's a reason they don't. Hi, Elizabeth. Glad to have you here. Elizabeth Victoria. Notice this. He stabbed and murdered 3 people, seemingly at random, October 29th of 2020. Brahim has emerged from his past silence of supposed amnesia for the last 5 years. Doesn't remember anything. Silence. But there's a much darker thing behind these actions. So this past Monday, in court, Brahim stated, "Yes, I acknowledge the facts." The accused said, Brahim said, "I'm not a terrorist, I'm a Muslim." He continued. Remember the words justifiable homicide a few minutes ago? You see that down the bottom? Justifiable homicide. All right, we'll come back here. "I'm not a terrorist. I'm a Muslim." He continued, justifying his actions by explaining that every day there are Muslims who die. Every day you, speaking to the French, kill Muslims and you don't care. You have no empathy for these people, he added. The West blindly kills innocent Muslims, and taking revenge is a right and a truth. Where did he get that from? Let's go back. It's right there. Retaliation is obligatory. Where is he from? Tunisia. You want to know what he did? He traveled from Tunisia to this particular church there's a lot of belief out there for 5 years. There's a lot of belief that this was all planned. The original news article on this testifies with maps that this was all planned. I'm not saying no to that. Let's keep going here. He admitted the choice of the people to attack in the place were at random. Again, I'm not saying I agree with this. He says, I had not prepared anything, but the assassinations were legitimate. Here we go. It's my right. It is my justice, he admits. However, he admitted that beheading Nadine de Villers was to scare people. The court says this. To scare, to spread terror. That's exactly what terrorism is. He was convicted and is now has a life sentence.
Wait a minute. Don't they still chop off people's heads in France, or do they stop doing that?
I think they stopped that about 20, 30 years ago.
What a bummer.
Yeah, unfortunately, stopped that. But wait, I'm shocked. This was in France. The dude chopped someone's head off, and is a Muslim, and he pled Islam. And I'm shocked that he gave him a life sentence. I'm shocked they found him guilty at all. I mean, it's France after all. I'm surprised they didn't put a medal on his chest and say you're such a poor dumb poor person, and we have to save you now. Wow, it's amazing.
Yeah. Blind follower, it says you wrote, I need captions because I do not speak English. You did pretty well typing it, and I'm guessing your translation. My hope is that you can come back later and use the translate. It'll automatically translate for you. You can always use that. I'm hoping that works out for you. Do come back and drop me a note and tell me if that doesn't translate well. I do know automatic translators. I'm talking especially about Google. Don't do this well. All right. Here's another one. This is from the dailymail.com. Brazilian-born Simone Barreira Silva, 44, was stabbed multiple times, but managed to escape the church. I'll say it's the same situation. This is two of the women who were killed that we're going to be talking about. She ran to a nearby burger bar where she died due to her injuries. The mother of three last words to the paramedics were, tell my children that I love them. On arrival, the French police shot Awissawi 14 times as he screamed, Allahu Akbar. That is not, by the way, every time we see God is greatest, we got to sit there and laugh. You know what Allah Akbar is? I love how Usama puts it. God is bigger.
Well,
does that mean he's fatter? Does
Akbar,
that mean he's bigger than an ant?
Akbar means...
What is he bigger than?
Mouse.
A tick? He's bigger than an atom? Okay.
Akbar means mouse.
No, it means bigger. Yeah. It means bigger.
Allah
Bigger than
Akbar.
What? Yeah, because I'm going by the people who speak it fluently. I'm not one of them, so I trust Usama's translation. I hear it from Yusuf too. So they say it means bigger. I'm going with that. I'm kind of disgusted that there's some other people who will say it's greatest. You're like, or greater.
In Arabic,
that's how I originally learned it.
But in Hebrew, it means mouse.
Yeah. Okay. I think this is humorous. We got to start laughing at this every time we see it. Hey, we got to turn around and say, what is he bigger than? What do you mean, what is he bigger than? Is he bigger than an atom? Is he bigger than an electron? Or is he just tiny? Because I think he's tiny. I mean, they're the ones who start the conversation. Why not continue it? Why not test what they really know? Hey, you do know you just said Allah's fat. What? Well, I mean, if as far as we could be saying he's fat. What is he fatter than? I don't know. He's got such a big butt. He's got to sit on a throne that's so big. I mean, come on. How big is this Allah? Well, maybe I always thought that he was tiny. I mean, again, he can't do very much. He needs your help.
And
All right,
he
let's
has
go
an
back
endless organ.
here. Yeah, well, he is just losing it. Just put it that way. DeVille, this woman who died, we got to go back to her. DeViller's husband. This is the other lady that died. This is the one that he tried to behead. Her husband broke down in tears when he confirmed that his wife had died in such a terrible circumstance during a desperate phone call from her childhood friend, Joël Guicard, who was DeViller's friend for 30 years. She was kindness with a capital K. The young mother, Miss DeViller. Yeah. Retaliation is required. He did this out of a sense of retaliation. And he's now going to serve life in prison, which means he doesn't get his jihadi award. He's not going to see his 72 virgins. That's, I think, in many ways, that's a just kind of dessert. And again, it's sick. Let's see. Who's Red? Are you? No, Red's not home. Okay, Ed, can I ask you to read 01.2 on the left? Ed?
Yeah.
Okay.
1.2. The following are not subject to retaliation. 1. A child or insane person under any circumstances, whether Muslim or non-Muslim. Ruling for a person intermittently insane is that it is considered as a sane person when in his right mind, and as if someone continuously insane when in an interval of insanity. If someone against whom retaliation is obligatory subsequently becomes insane, a full penalty is nevertheless exacted. Homicide committed by someone who is drunk is A, considered to be the same of that of the same person, like his pronouncing divorce. Really?
Yeah, so stop there. My question to you guys: what kind of defense do they usually use when they get caught attacking someone? Insane, right?
Yep.
And they like this intermittently insane concept. Oh, I was sane when I got in your country. I was sane when I decided I wanted to come to move here. But yeah, all your actions ever since then. Let's go on to that next one. This one to me is, I wanted to throw up after I read the next one.
Yeah. A Muslim for killing a non-Muslim.
So you are allowed. Okay. A Muslim who kills a non-Muslim will never get retaliation. That's permissible. Doesn't matter who it is. You can be Christian, Jewish, whatever. You can be another form of Islam. But
That right,
it's yeah.
that right there goes against the confirmation of the Torah. This is a complete contradiction, or I would say contradiction.
Yeah. Well, see, in the time that you have to look at this, one Muslim group will declare another Muslim group a bunch of heretics, apostates. And then there's supposed to be a hijra from the place that was called heretics to the, and now you start to get this like, what? I mean, when you hear all this stuff, it's really insane. I don't have better answers for you on this because this is happening today in Syria. This is the reason the Ridda War, the jihadis like the Ridda War, because they don't consider the other people who are, they consider them not Muslims. They consider them apostates. So they can kill them. The Ridda War is the purifying of Islam, and it's justified here by saying they're non-Muslims.
They're not going to get away from Isaiah 5:20.
You want to read that?
Sure. Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter.
All right, let's read that third one there. And I'm going to have you, there's a couple on the next page I'm going to have you read too. Okay.
A Jewish or Christian subject of the Islamic State for killing an apostate from Islam because a subject of the state is under its protection while killing an apostate from Islam without consequences.
So please understand this. And I think everyone needs to pay attention to this. When they put out a fatwa to kill an apostate, they're okay with anyone doing this. You just got approved for killing somebody. So you think about the guy who wrote, what was that nice book that got someone almost killed? It was called The Satanic Verses. This man got, attempts on his life multiple times, almost killed multiple times. And it didn't have to be a Muslim who did the job. That's what they're saying. When they put the fatwa out, they don't care who does it. All they care about is that it's done. And the fatwa is just a ruling saying, okay, you can do it. You can kill him. Yeah. This is scary stuff. All right, Ed, here's the rest of this. Let me get to the rest. Oh, wait, before I do that, take a look over here. What's not on the left? Do you see this? And killing a drunkard is like divorcing him. Was there anything about killing a drunkard? Because that's the intermittent, maybe. All right, how about there's no problem killing. Okay, we got the killing the infidels, okay. Nor a free man for killing a slave. Was there anything there about killing a slave? They didn't want you. They kept it hidden. All right. Why do they do this? Because they don't want you to know about their love of slavery. Unbelievable. So I looked in the Hadith. This is one of this book, and I believe the section on divorce are very much in line with the Sunnah. And I only looked up a few of these. Some of these will make, if you look up this word retaliation in sunnah.com, you'll get sick. Some of this is just so, it's nasty. It's too detailed. If you buy At-Tabari's histories, you will find detailed amounts of retaliation. And some of it's very sexual. So you've got to be careful when you buy that. And I'm just going to warn you, their concept of history often has sexually explicit details. Yeah, you don't expect that when you're reading a history. But that's Islam. You can't have Islam without sex. All right. Sunan Abi Dawud. This man says it was narrated from Hisham, who's from Al Hassan, who said a free man should not be subject to retaliation in return for a slave. Oh, so a slave was killed. You don't kill the guy who did it. So your slave was killed. You don't kill the guy who did it. You kill the man's slave. This is, yeah. This goes back to, the first code of laws, the Code of Hammurabi. That's the closest this comes to. And there again, there is more reason to believe that if this is the case, maybe this all came from an area known as Mesopotamia. Oh, well, maybe this came from an area known as Petra, which would make more sense. But, yeah. You would understand things better. All right, Ed, we're gonna have you finish this up. Uh, 4 is a shocker, no matter how many times I read it.
A father or mother, or the fathers or mothers, for killing their offspring or offspring. Nor is retaliation permissible
Okay, well,
to
hold
a.
on. Number
Oh,
4 is so you can a mother and a father can kill their own kids. All right, aunts, uncles, cousins can kill their family members. Gets worse. They can kill their grandchildren. So there's nothing wrong. They never get punished for killing their own children. This is where honor killing is permissible. I I read this the first time, like, no. Came back, read it a second, third time. Even in the Google Translate, nor the father and the mother and their sons and mothers for killing a son and a son's son. There's, yeah, sick. All right, Ed, number 5.
okay. Nor is retaliation permissible to a descendant for his ancestors killing someone whose death would otherwise entitle the descendant to retaliate, such as when his father kills his mother.
So there's no retaliation permissible for a man to kill his father when his father killed his mom. He's just supposed to sit there and allow it because that's allowable in Islam. A man can kill his wife and not get any punishment in Islam. That's what this is saying. Yeah. Disgusting. I'm sorry. Very disgusting. Here we go. Notice the date on here, January 30, 2025. And Nico, can you read this headline, please?
Dad shoots daughter 15 and sick. Well, at least they got the sick right in his setting. I'm not used to seeing that in media, but all right. Sick honor killing after he should refuse to stop posting TikToks. This is a really bad joke, but I'm torn on this one.
So
Bad joke.
I don't like TikTok to begin with. I still
That was bad.
cautious over anything I
Don't
consider.
don't
All
even
right,
humor
let
me.
me
That was
try and
bad. I
get
wish
this
I could take
here.
it back.
Why is this not working? Here we go. Okay. I put this link in because I wanted to grow it and share it. Let me just get this in the right spot. Next week, I'm hoping to have a better computer here. I got
I know how you
it
feel.
set up, and I'm still working on. I couldn't get it set up in time. Come on. Just start letting me pull the.
Yeah, I mean, let me just while you're doing that, just point out which I'm sure is obvious to a lot of the audience here. Just yet again how this is the exact opposite, the antithesis of Christianity.
Yes.
Where children are completely protected.
All right. I'm having some
Descriptively.
difficulties pulling this, so let me. I'll read it. Anwar al-Haq. A reason why I have pulled this. This is one of the past news articles that I have read with Usama on his shows. It says a dad has confessed to killing his own 15-year-old daughter, and this is from the Mirror, which is a UK paper. A dad has his own 15-year-old daughter after she refused to stop posting TikTok videos, according to police. Anwar al-Haq, who had recently moved his family back to Pakistan from the U.S., was charged with murder after admitting he shot dead his teenage daughter, Hira, in the southwestern city of Quetta on Tuesday. Despite initially telling police that unidentified men were behind the shooting, the dad later admitted to the killing after telling investigators he found his daughter's online posts objectionable. Okay, we should pay attention. Do you think this guy's going to go to jail? He's in a Sharia compliant country.
Not in Pakistan.
Yeah. Al-Haq, who has a U.S. citizenship, is reported to have forbidden his daughter from making TikTok videos he believed were inappropriate, and the family had an objection to her dressing, lifestyle, and social gathering. According to the police, authorities confirmed they are investigating the motives and the killing, including the possibility of an honor killing. Well, okay, you're in Pakistan. They're not going to do anything. According to human rights groups, hundreds of mostly women are killed in honor killings in Pakistan every year. Yes, that's very true. They normally carried out by relatives who believe they're acting in defense of their family's honor. A woman isn't allowed to hold her own honor. It's the family's honor. So they're allowed to kill her. Sick. I'm sorry. Just plain sick. All right. We're going to go on. Let's see. And
Demonic.
Yes. All right. So, Nico, can you read this one, please? On the left. Okay. Oh, by the way, notice the headline difference before. It says in the translation that Reliance on the Traveler gives us, it says intentionality in injurious crimes. There's only 2 words there, and Google translates that as criminal departments. It's like, what? Yeah. Intentionality. They lost that word in there somehow. I don't know, because it doesn't make sense, because I think intentionality is there. Why are they trying to hide it? All right, if you could please, Ed. Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's Ed, right? Yeah.
Okay. Injurious crimes of all types, whether killing or something less, are of 3 types. An honest mistake. What? A mistake made in deliberate injury or purely intentional. And
I'm
honest.
still trying to figure the mistake made in deliberate injury. This is what we had earlier. That doesn't make any sense.
No, it's contradicting itself.
But that's Islam. It's not logical.
Yeah, contradiction, as Al-Fadi calls it.
Yeah. Well, you can't call it a contradiction when it's here, but you'll find Sharia contradicting everything. So it's just, yeah.
Yeah, well, this is supposed to be explaining.
Nico asked a good question. He said, "Are the men not killed too?" Well, the men can be killed by other men in an act of retaliation. But I'm going to go back to that first retaliation thing. The guy was complaining that we showed that news article. The guy committed an act of retaliation against the French, claiming their people were killing Muslims. So he went to France to kill the Frenchies because he believed they're killing Muslims. Right? He felt justified taking that action. And I have this book I picked up, and it's interesting. It depends on who you talk to. But this book, it's called Criminal Justice in Islam. And I don't like this book because they talk about who can take, you got to go to court to find out who can take retaliation. But as we're reading this, have you seen anybody being told you have to go to court to take retaliation? Have we read that anyplace?
No.
Okay. And we're in 02.0. We've defined the crimes, 3 types. I mean, honest mistake, we would call that manslaughter today. All right? You do something, you didn't intend it, still, guy dies. Yeah, I think under Islam, in most cases, they would allow retaliation. Because, let's say it point blank, it was a Muslim killing it was a non-Muslim killing a Muslim. And that's what they would do. Okay, retaliation is justified because it's a non-Muslim that did it. All right, Ed, can you read the next one?
Sure. There is one thing I do want to say.
Yes.
If you are reading the Bible in a Muslim land, or what is called causing fitna in the land.
Yes. Yes, you're right. Corruption in the land. Causing corruption. Yeah. All right. Keep going there. 2.2.
An honest mistake is an act such as shooting an arrow at a wall and hitting a person, or shooting at a person and hitting someone else. What? Or slipping from a height and falling on someone. Criterion for it is that the act is intended but not the person, or neither the act nor the person is intended.
All right. I'll give you an example of this. Real life story. I had a student who, two girls fighting. One girl was being pretty good. I got her to leave the room. Okay. And she's on her way out of the room. She comes back in. The other girl in the room, I'm in between them, wants to end this quickly, and I'm in the middle. She picks up a desk, throws it across the room, and it hits me smack in the head. Was it an honest mistake? Because that's what she swore. Oh, it was a mistake. The mother swore. It was a mistake. So the judge says to the daughter and to the mother, really? How's a mistake? Did the desk get up and fly through the air on its own? So, no, I didn't hit who I wanted to. Like, when you think about that answer, who was in the middle? I think she just wanted to get me out of the way. Then she could hit her target. So that's, you can get away with a lot here. Oh, I didn't mean to hit that one. I meant to hit the other one. Sorry, I was aiming for the other guy. Really?
Oh, I didn't mean to throw him off a 6-story building. It should have been a 1-story building.
Yeah, you're catching it. Sorry he was gay. Sorry, no retaliation allowed. Because you're supposed to kill people this way. Oh, yeah. It's sick. All right, we're going to go on. Let's see. I have a special guest. If he comes in, we'll see. All right. Red, are you home? Oh, he might still be traveling. Okay. Nico, can you read 2.3, please?
Okay. A mistake made in deliberate injury is when one intends an injury that is not generally fatal, such as hitting someone with a light stick in non-vital spot from which the person dies and the like.
So you're not necessarily hitting someone in the gonads and they're going to die because you kicked them in the gonads. Okay, wait a minute.
Tap.
Let's be honest here. A love tap. Okay, with a toothpick and the guy dies. Really? How big was that toothpick? Oh, it was the length of a spear. Okay, and where did you hit him? Oh, this place right here. You know, I swear it was a toothpick. Whose mind was that a toothpick? You said it was a spear. Yeah, it was a light tap. I swear it was a light tap. Non-vital spot. Okay. Oh, okay. Honestly, I hit him in the leg. It's a non-vital spot. Yeah, but you cut off his artery. He bled out. This is just
like Muhammad.
Well, Muhammad actually got killed for doing something stupid. You rape a girl after you killed her father and her brothers, and then you decide, oh, I'm going to take her food, eat her food. I mean, that's just pure idiocy. I'm sorry, that's pure idiocy. I don't think there's any intelligence involved in that case. Yes, and like the lady said, who did this, it proved he wasn't a prophet, and he even testified to it. He said, if I'm not a prophet, Allah will rip out my aorta. Oh, that's the only prophecy he got right. He revealed he was a false prophet. Okay, that's the only prophecy he has. And it's only because he was such a liar, he forgot his lies. All right, can you read 02.4, please?
Okay. Purely intentional means to intend an injury of the type that is generally fatal, whether with a blunt instrument or a sharp one.
Okay, what about if it's purely intentional and you use poison?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe it's not purely intentional. Okay, what if it's purely intentional and you use something like the COVID vaccine?
Mm.
I,
This thing is just full of contradictions. Like, I don't know what to make of it. It's just asinine.
and this is the thing that's scary is these laws are to govern Muslims and non-Muslim. That's their belief structure. This is going to get worse in a second. All right. Let's see. We'll go back to you for a minute, Ed. We're going to have you start 3 point. You know what? I'll read the first one. You read the second one, okay? Retaliation for bodily injury or death. And I think it's interesting they're using the word kisas here. Now, this is a problem I found throughout the translations. You see on the right, it says retaliation for intention in felonies. Anytime you saw criminal injurious crimes and things like that before, where it said crime, criminal act, or whatever, it had always said felony. So I went back and put crime there because in our Western world, a felony doesn't have to be a physical injury. It's the level of a crime committed. We charge people with felonies. Okay, you stole the car. That car is worth a certain amount of money. Now it's a felony. You went into a bank and you fired a gun, or you said you had a gun. That's a felony. Even saying you have a gun or giving the impression you have a gun, it's a felony. I know of one case where a guy walked into a bank, took his gun out, fired it into the air, walked out, and sat in his car. I think he served like 10 years for bank robbery with a gun. Right? He didn't ask for money.
Sounded like he wanted to go to jail.
Yes, because he came back and his job was to follow a certain assassin who was shortly thereafter killed after he is one of the guys who was supposed to be in action against JFK. Supposed to be. You hear what I'm saying? Now that we have the answer, the information's out who really did it. So, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know
you didn't know that? Okay.
No.
If you don't know it, please go out and start. I suggest everybody go buy Roger Stone's book. All that information came out before the information was released who really was involved in the death of JFK. One of the guys, it's the bankers. The bankers wanted JFK out of the way because of an executive order he passed. He was trying to make friends with, he was trying to end the Cold War. There was a lot of things happening. And the bankers and the people who were warmongers hated Kennedy, and they took him out. So they could put in the guy who was willing to do what they wanted, who wanted that job. Roger Stone wrote about it, and now that information is it's pretty much released. I say pretty much because I know I've seen articles on it, but please go find that. All right, let's get back to this. Retaliation is obligatory. I think we already said that, didn't we? If those entitled wish to take it, then there is a purely intentional injury against life or limb. Duh! I'm sorry. That's like okay. You killed somebody, or you cut off his hand because he cut off your hand. That's purely intentional. Oh, okay. So does this keep going on? You ever heard an eye
Yes.
for an eye makes the whole world blind? Yeah.
Yes, I love that one.
Yeah. I think that logic actually escaped this this perfect Allah. Yeah. All right. Can you read? Was it Nico? I was asking next. Yeah, Nico. Can you read 3.2? Or was it
Okay.
Ed? I can't remember.
Retaliation.
Yeah.
Either way, I can read it. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's up
All
to you
right.
guys.
Go ahead.
Retaliation is obligatory in return for injuries, part of the commensurate. Maybe I should tap in Ed for these big words. Part
You did good.
whenever, whenever the retaliatory injury can be fully inflicted without exceeding the extent of the original injury, such as when the retaliatory injury is on an eyelid, the soft part of the nose, the car?
The ear.
No, the ear. Sorry, the ear, tooth, lip, hand, foot, finger, fingertip, penis,
Yeah.
testicles.
Okay, wait a minute. So he took one of your testicles and now you got to go take one of his. I'm sorry. I don't want any part of that. No. I could never inflict that kind of pain on somebody else. I'm sorry. No. I might want to kill him. I'll get that. I'll be honest there. That's how it might feel, but no.
I surely don't want anybody else's testicle.
No, that's what
Yeah, I was.
us guys, we
Yeah, I was going to
don't
say.
think. Okay, we start talking about this stuff, we get a little scary. We get scared is what I should say. It's too scary for us to think about. You want to watch something funny. Put a video up from YouTube where guys are constantly hurting themselves in a certain area, and you just stand back and watch the guys who are watching this video. They're all like cringing their faces. Yeah. Is that retaliation? Most guys couldn't do this, is what I'm getting at. Who do they send to do the retaliation? Let's be honest here, guys. You're sending a woman to do it because she'll have great pleasure in cutting off somebody's, you know what? Tanya Bobbitt. Tanya Bobbitt. Used to say that was the most dangerous woman on earth. Yeah, I can believe it. All right. And then they have, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. Vulva and the like.
Be there. It's not going to be there if they did they circumcised the woman. So, yeah.
And like, provided that the retaliatory injury is like the original, meaning that a right member is not taken for the left, an upper one for the lower, nor a functional member for a paralyzed one. Nor is there retaliation for non-fatal bullet wounds in the stomach or chest, for example, because such injuries cannot be reproduced without risk of greater damage than the original, for which reason they call for an indemnity.
Okay, so that's actually, you see this? I'm going to highlight it. See this over here? Indemnity is blood money. You guys ever heard of blood money? Okay. You pay somebody off for,
you
pay somebody for not killing you, basically. Protection type money. It's disgusting. They have a special word for payoff for protection. This becomes a legal gig in Islam under Shariah. Retaliation. Yeah. All right. Finish that up, please. You're doing good.
All right. There is no retaliation for breaking a bone, though payment is due to cover the cost of treatment and so forth. I'm sure.
All right, let's be honest here. Okay, I know of cases real life cases where a person was in a form of lockup, and the person attacked one of the people who was supposed to be, the word guard is the wrong word here, and that's about as far as I can go, and broke the guy's, one of his bones. Now, neither one of these guys is Muslim. But the next time this guy went off and the guy had healed up, the person who got his bone broken, he did the, he did a proper, what's the right word here? He did the correct response in a hard way, which caused the guy who was previously broke his bone to break his own bone. And I'm sure that happens in more prisons and forensic units. I was kind of shocked to hear the story. But in reality is a lot of this stuff happens. Revenge is something. You'll even hear this phrase, revenge is a dish best served cold. There's a lot of statements about revenge, but this is, the way this is all written, is legalizing hate, actions of hate. I mean, actions of unforgiveness. And you're never going to forgive. This is the thing you have to look at here. This is legalizing revenge and acts of retaliation because of unforgiveness. That's how it has to be viewed. It's kind of disgusting. All right, here we go. Ed, can you read this one up on the top?
Sure. Females are entitled to retaliate against males, children against adults, and lower class people against upper class, whether the retaliation is a life for a life or a limb for a limb. Goodness.
This is going to be problematic. This is going to get problematic. Now, the exact translation in Google says the female may retaliate for the loss of a male. Oh. So she's retaliating. This is where it gets strange. So you kill her husband. She has the right of retaliation. You're the male. You killed her husband. She's allowed to kill that man. And as I said before, who's going to do the one to take out the testicle or the penis? I'm sorry, you're asking your wife to do that. Because you, as a guy, it's not going to be easy to do. You're probably going to be wincing as you do it. No, unless you're a sick puppy. That's all I can think of. And yeah, it wouldn't be. I mean, I've heard there's an incredible story in Ambassador Morgenthau's his history. You read that story, Ambassador Morgenthau's story. You will read of a slaughter where the Muslims are coming down a hill to kill the Armenians. And there's a description of the evil women who are coming down so eager with bloodlust, carrying swords to kill the men. Yeah. They can do things. Even in Native American culture, they trusted the females to be a lot crueler than the men because they don't have a problem with crushing something that us guys would have a problem with something being crushed. Yeah, we'd be sitting there wincing ourselves. Sorry, that's the reality of being male. All right. Nico, 3.4, please.
Okay. It is not permissible to exact retaliation against someone without the presence of the caliph or his representative.
Wait, hold on. It's not permissible to exact retaliation against someone without, but what if there's no caliph?
Yeah, there hasn't been one since 1924.
Wait a minute. Even if there was one in 1924 and beyond, can he be everywhere?
No, he can't.
So a caliph, I think this is a later thought. That's my honest thought here. Notice it's 3.4, and and when they translated it here, they in Google Translate they didn't use caliph, they used sultan or representative. And you'll see right after caliph it says or his representative. Okay, there's no caliph. What do we have? We have imams. Okay, representatives. Really, are you taking someone to go commit a crime? Well, if you need someone's help, maybe, but otherwise you're not bringing help. You're committing something we know is a crime. Again, they're the ones using the word crime, injurious crime. Generally, you don't bring people with you unless you need help. All right, keep going there, please.
Meaning,
Or his representative.
okay, so meaning that it is necessary to have the permission of one of them because of the danger and the lack of knowledge involved in exacting retaliation oneself, as it requires the judgment and personal reasoning of a ruler. If someone takes retaliation without the caliph's permission, then it is valid.
Hold on.
What?
You don't need so you don't need the caliph. You do, but you don't, but you don't, but you do. I'm totally okay. We have a Shariah contradiction. All right. Okay.
Sharia tradition. All right.
Yeah. Now you know why we have acts of retaliation without the caliph or the imam or whatever. Yeah. So those acts we read earlier, they were legal acts of retaliation. That's what this is saying. Sick. All right, please continue. Okay. Sorry for interrupting.
No, it's good. But the person who took it is disciplined. Okay. For
how?
Arrogating the good question. Yeah. Eye for an eye? I don't know.
Well, if again,
or arrogate.
He can be. So you asked the right question. I said how, and you said, well, how do they? I mean, so you allow the retaliation to continue. That's how you. That's okay. So he did this to you. You did that to him, and then he's now allowed to do this to you. It goes on and on and on and on. This is what we call feuding families. This is happening. Oh, too much. Yeah, too much.
It reminds me of a cartoon when I was young, Looney Tunes cartoon. I can't remember what the characters, but basically one of them had like a stick, another one brings a bigger stick, and then a gun and a bigger gun and a cannon and a bigger. They just kept going back and forth. It's just silly.
That's I think a Bugs Bunny special one. Yeah. All right, let's finish this one up. All
right. For arrogating the cow's prerogative, since administering retaliation is one of his functions, and to encroach upon it is wrong. If a person who is entitled to retaliate is able to do so proficiently, being a strong man who knows how to do it, he is allowed to. If not, he is ordered by the ruler or his representative to have another do it.
So did you catch this?
Yeah.
If a person who's entitled, you don't need the caliph. You don't even need permission. You're allowed to do it. You can leave your home in Tunisia, go all the way to France, and kill as many people as you can and call it retaliation. Yeah. And he got life imprisonment. We don't believe in torture here. We're nicer people in the Western world. I say drop them out of an airplane back home. Let them put them in prison. And Why should we pay for feeding him until the day he dies? I don't know. Maybe just to make sure you see have the catch here is in our reality today. When you take some of these guys, if you were to airdrop them home, they'd try to come back. And somebody probably would miss them.
Not if you airdropped them without a parachute.
Well, that's another possibility. This is where we, as Christians and Jews and whoever else that's not Muslim, we're just not as cruel. We're not seeking retaliation, though we would like to. We're hoping that we can teach them with love. Even kicking them out of an airplane into their own homeland with a parachute is an act of mercy. But you just don't want to pay for it. Yeah. I think this part, look, you don't need permission. You don't need permission. You started out saying you need permission, but now you don't need permission. And then you don't need permission again. Yeah. So this book that I was showing, let's see if that shows up better when I take this off the screen for a second. See if this will show up. This book, and I'm taking it right. Okay. This book, and I take off the mirror. That's probably what I need to do. Take the mirror concept out. Okay. Criminal justice in Islam. It says you need to get permission to have retaliation. Have you read Shariah, Mr. Abdel Omar Sharif, Muhammad Abdel Halim, and Kate Daniels? Have you read Shariah? I wrote a nasty review of this book. They're telling you you need permission. What does it say here? You do, but you don't. Yeah. Quran traditions we've heard of. Sharia traditions. There we go. Yeah. Let's be honest.
Oh, yeah, Islam is permission to break all 10 commandments.
Yes. Yes. It's very, very sad, but truthful. Who's up next? I think Nico, you just read?
Correct.
Okay. Ed, can you read 3.5, please?
Sure. Put it up.
Oh, I didn't put it back up. I'm sorry. Here we go. Here we go. All right.
Right. If 2 or more people are entitled to exact retaliation against the offender, it is not permissible for just one of them to insist on doing so. Though, of course, if they choose one of themselves to exact it, this is permissible. And the one chosen is considered as the other's commissioned agent.
Oh, hey, hold on, Dad. Does this sound like what I was saying? Really?
Yeah.
You want someone to take out your testicle? You're asking. Oh, do you hear where I'm going? Come on, us guys. We would
Wow.
miss these. Oh no, I can't do that. Wife goes, I'll take care of that one for you.
Yeah.
You're my agent. No.
Oh, but it gets better. The 2 may not take retaliation together, as this amounts to torturing the person being retaliated against. If each insists that he be the one, they draw lots to see who will do it. Wow.
So it's not supposed to be 2 people do it. This is humorous. Who's enforcing this? You don't have to have permission.
Nobody needs to enforce it.
That's the point. Yeah. All right, read that last 03.6 there.
There is no retaliation against a pregnant woman until she has given birth and the infant is able to suffice with another's milk.
We're only talking about Muslim women, people. They didn't say pregnant slave. They didn't say infidel. This is only a Muslim woman. You can take retaliation against an infidel. Remember, you're allowed to kill an infidel. You won't get retaliation. Yeah. Sick. But they're okay with killing the woman before she even nurses her baby. As long as she can get the baby to survive. Because there's another Muslim child. This is such a sick group of people. I don't have any nice words. All right, we're getting close to the end of this one. 03.7. Whoever cuts off the hand and then kills, his hand will be cut off, and he will be killed. If the hand is cut off and he dies from that, his hand will be cut off. What would you rather lose, your life or your hand?
Wait a
Okay,
minute.
you can take my hand.
What if you use the cut off hand to cut somebody?
Oh, wow. All right, I got to finish this one. If he dies, then he is the one killed. Otherwise, you know, ... Really? This is the Google Translate. I didn't check with the people. I have to sit here and like, what is going on? All right. Why are they hiding this? I was expecting something in here to be about slavery. You know why they're hiding this? It's as stupid as it can be. All right. It's basically a Sharia contradiction where it cuts off the hand and then someone and then kills. His hand gets cut off. Why are you cutting off his hand? Why don't you just chop off his head and be done with it? All right. Or whatever you're going to do. Why did you need to cut his hand off first? Because you like the idea of somebody suffering? He knows what's coming next.
Yep.
It's just... And then you give, if the hand is cut off and he dies from that, his hand will be cut off. So wait a minute. If he does what he was... it doesn't matter what the punishment is. At least the hand gets cut off. And then it's debatable about whether you kill the person. Because there's two different answers here. So they hid it. I was expecting to find the word slavery here. And I didn't. I was kind of surprised. Because usually you have these untranslated passages and usually find something about slavery. There's one coming up. All right. And we're Nico again.
3.8. Whenever someone who is entitled to exact retaliation decides instead to forgive the offender and take the indemnity. Thank you, sir.
You know what? You can always say
him,
blood money if you don't want to say that. Say blood money.
Thank you. Perfect. All right. Then retaliation is no longer called for, and the deserving person is entitled to the blood money. If some of a group of people who are entitled to retaliation agree to forgo it, as when a murder victim has children and one of them forgives the murderer, then retaliation is no longer obligatory, and the group deserves the blood money for the offender, or the blood money may be also waived. Your reaction's priceless.
You got to pay up so you don't get killed. This is a protection racket, if you think about it. If you pay off you killed this child's dad. He's coming after you. But if you offer him money, can you please forget this? Can you please forgive me and not kill me? Give me a 50 grand. Give me 75 grand. Give me 100 grand. Give me $1 million. There's no concept of forgiveness here. It's greed. It's lust. There's no... This is the sad truth. Again, this blood money is a way to hide an act of forgiveness. It doesn't create forgiveness. If anything, you'll spend that money and you just be angry. Or you'll keep it and you'll be angry. There's no forgiveness here. This goes on. It gets worse. They're going to be very specific in a minute. All right. Nico. Wait, who just read? It was. All right, Ed. I think it's Ed's turn, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
3.9. When someone kills a group of people or maims them one after another, retaliation is exacted for the first individual attacked, and the other deserving parties receive blood money. If the offender injures them all at once, then those entitled to retaliate against him draws lots to determine who will do so.
Okay. Anybody get this one? You go and you kill a group of people, or you at least maim them because you got a sword. You go in, you're fighting against a group of people. All right, they're fighting against you. You just happen to be better, and you kill them all. And the other deserving parties receive blood money.
Who's
If
the
you
other
injure all of
deserving
them,
parties?
yeah. So they're trying to kill you, but you kill them, or you injure them. You didn't kill them. You didn't kill any of them. Now you owe them blood money. Yeah, no concept of self-defense here, right? Who's going to make sure you get the blood money?
Yeah, I mean, like you've been. I mean, it seems like a lot of this is actually offensive and not defensive, like you were saying before.
Yeah, it's so full of hate.
Malice, yeah, absolutely.
I don't have anything nice to say. I'm going to put it. The Google Translate said, "Whoever kills a group or cuts off a limb from a group one by one, the blood money shall be exacted from him for the first one and for the rest. If he kills them all at once, he shall." I thought this was funny. Shall be cast bald. I'm sure there's a mistranslation there. It's Google Translate, but it does sound funny. All right. Ed, can you read 3.10, please?
Okay. When a group of people together murder a single person, they are all killed in retaliation, no matter whether the amount of injury inflicted by each upon the victim is the same or whether it differs.
All right. We're all a certain age where we remember Westerns, and there was a certain series of Westerns starring a certain individual called Clint Eastwood. And like Fistful of Dollars. Usually there was an act of what we would call retaliation, according to this. He was going after a whole group of people, and he was taking them out one by one. So Clint Eastwood would be considered Shariah compliant in those movies.
Outlaw Josie Wales.
Outlaw, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was his wife that got raped, and he went out and he took them all out one by one. Yeah, and if you actually watch a lot of the Clint Eastwood movies, there's a lot of revenge in in his videos, movies, I should say. And again, Sharia compliant. And I think sometimes the videos of the movies that are put out that have some sense of satisfaction in them, you will see some kind of act of retaliation or revenge where most humans wouldn't do this, but the truth is they would like to. And that is, a very sick, sad, sorry truth. And Nico probably is an expert on this. Do you see a lot of, am I right about the videos?
Well, yeah, that's one of my pet peeves about Hollywood is how it promotes revenge, and exactly, yeah, it does appeal to our inner, like, darker sides of, they getting that revenge and all that, and it's like, yeah, I mean, they make it glamorized and make it victorious. Like one of the most famous movies, a recent movie, oh boy, it escapes me right now. Morgan Freeman's in it, the prison movie.
Yeah.
Wow. Anyway, yeah. So that's exactly what that's about. I mean, it's about redemption. Oh, Shawshank Redemption.
Redemption.
Yeah. Sorry, you got me on a tangent now. But yeah, I mean, redemption, in the sense that at the very end of the movie, it's about revenge. And we all love it. I love it too. But we need to be mindful as Christians that revenge is mine. I shall repay. God shall repay, saith the Lord. We need to keep that in mind.
I happen to know of one case where a person who was one of my pastors, he traveled around the United States doing presentations and street ministry. And while he was out there preaching, these bunch of guys drove by cussing at him and stuff like this. And he says out loud, "God, get him." And they have an accident all of a sudden. And the car gets on fire. Okay, and everybody around him is going, "Oh, I think it's time to repent." When he calls that, he's giving that altar call. You get done. Yeah. Leave it to God. Don't be surprised. This is a God who loves, and I would say this: don't be begging for revenge. Let God make that choice, because if God gets revenge, it's much better. I mean, the revenge could be this, and this would be actually make you happy. The guy who was your enemy becomes your brother because he found Christ. I want you to think about this. The guy I went over, and I was talking about in the beginning of the show, he was never my enemy. If anything, he was a lost friend. But I go over there, I tell him he needs a real high, and give up these drugs, and he needs Jesus. And he punched me in the face. Enemy? No. Did God get his revenge? Yeah. God changed his life. And you know what made him? I'll tell you this. I still laugh at this one. The kid I'm talking about, after he became a Christian, he did two things that really changed my reality. Called me over to his house right across the street from me. "Paul, you got to come over. I'm not starting until you come over." Like, "But Eric, these are all the drug dealers you used to hang with, all the drug addicts, and you know what I'm talking about, those girls, And he says, "I'm not starting until you get over here." I had to make a decision. Okay, I have no idea what he's talking about. I get across the street. He says, "Okay, guys, come in the living room. I got the stuff." They're racing into the living room. And I'm really slowly walking behind them. I get in there. He says, "I got free stuff for you today. No charge." And he starts to tell them about how God changed his life. That room vacated so fast. It was amazing. Except for two people. Me. The girl he was currently dating. Actually, and add his brother in there because his brother couldn't leave. But his brother was very angry. No, did God get his revenge? This guy wouldn't shut up. He got his first job. After that, he was working at a restaurant. He couldn't shut up. They fired him. God's revenge? He got hired in a management position at another restaurant. Yeah. I sit there and I laugh at some of this stuff, but let God do the work. We're better not doing it. All right. Who's up next? Is it? Just read. I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep my head in the game. And who read last?
I forgot myself. I can read. I don't mind.
All right. Go ahead. 03.11. Guess what you can't
All
read
right.
up top?
Yeah. All right. If one person wounds him one time and another wounds him, and 100 times, and he dies, and that single wound or those wounds would have caused death if they were done alone, then retaliation is required for both of them. Didn't read that right, but all right. God forbid.
Allah forbid.
If the
Allah forbid. I gotta go back and change that.
Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. Allah forbid, if the second person cuts off the crime of the first, such as the first cutting off his hand or something similar, and the second cuts his neck or cuts him in half, and the first is the wounder and the second is the killer.
Is this like a duh moment? Like, what am I, stupid?
Yeah.
All right. You watch these movies like um, criminal investigation rooms, the ones where they're looking at the forensics and they're trying to find out how did the guy die. They'll find some, different injuries, and okay. Why did we need? This is like stupid. I'm sorry. Um,
Yeah, it's kind of
Shariah for
reminded
dummies.
me of. It's kind of reminded me of a Bugs Bunny short where it was unga bunga bunga.
This is Sharia for dummies. Okay. All right. Ed, can you read this one, please?
Okay, 3.13.
Oh, 1, 2. Yeah.
1, 2. Okay. There is no retaliation against anyone for an injury or death caused by someone who did so intentionally, but in conjunction with someone who did so by mistake. What?
Okay.
What an injurious crime is.
Wait. Hold on, Ed. Does that make sense to you?
No,
Why?
absolutely not. Well, by someone who did so intentionally, but in conjunction with someone who did so by mistake. Now, wait a minute. If he did so by mistake and they're both going, so if I guess it's like if one guy swings and he misses the other guy, but the other guy ducking out of his way kills himself.
This is just so stupid. I'm sorry. Again, Sharia for dummies. I
What
mean,
the heck, man?
okay. Keep going there. This gets worse.
When an injurious crime is caused by a non-family member in cooperation with the victim's father, retaliation is only taken against the non-family member. What?
Yeah. You're allowed to take retaliation outside of your family. You shouldn't be taking retaliation against your family, is what they're kind of saying.
Yeah.
However, if it's again, this is the thing we have to remember. Your parents are allowed to kill the children. Grandparents are allowed to kill the
Yeah.
grandchildren. Yeah, so I think that's their statement here. Sick. All right, 3.13. Keep going there. All right.
Retaliation is also obligatory for everyone, for every wound that cuts to the bone, such as a cut on the head or face that reaches the skull, or a cut to the bone in the upper arm, lower leg, or thigh. To the bone means that it is known that a knife or a needle, for example, has reached the bone, not that the wound actually exposes the bone to view. Jeez.
Okay, so let's just imagine you're at work and you're working on something kind of dangerous, and something accidentally happens to you, and you're sliced to the bone someplace on your person, and you believe all of a sudden the other person did it on purpose. Oh, retaliation is obligatory. You got to do that exact same thing to him. Wait a minute. You did that thing to him. You cut to the bone on him. What's now required? This doesn't stop.
Bad to the bone.
Yeah, bad to the bone until it's cut through, I guess. Yeah, and keep going until something's gone there. Yeah, bad to the bone. That's I'll have to get that and play that next. We'll have to do a short where we're playing this, or we're playing in the background. Bad to the bone. Yeah, yeah, that would fit. There you go, Nico. There's something for you to play. All right, we're gonna leave.
Yeah, I keep getting
Come back to
copyright.
this. All right, we're gonna stop at this point. We'll cover indemnity, the blood money next time. I'm horrified by this, but the thing that I wanted to keep coming back to is this. All this stuff about retaliation yet they're still allowed to kill their children. They're still allowed to kill apostates, and they're still allowed to kill non-Muslims without any problem. And they're allowed to kill slaves with no retaliation.
And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, Islam is a religion of peace.
I think the pieces are better description. There's not much left when you let Islam survive. It kills itself. I mean, if there was no Muslims, if there was no Christians or Jews or any non-Muslims on the planet, they would kill each other off until there was one last Muslim.
There is a couple of verses in Proverbs 25 I'd like to read.
Please do.
It says, "If thine enemy be hungry, give him bread to eat, and if he be thirsty, give him water to drink. For thou shalt heap coals of fire upon his head, and the Lord shall reward thee." So,
And we were just talking about this in my church, in the men's group, okay? We were just talking about this, and we had a great example. A father in the group was talking about his son being bullied. I love the approach of this gentleman. He says, look, you are a Christian. And then he gave his last name and said, you are, gave his last name. And the boys, understand this has to do with him being a believer, and this has to do with representing family. Next time that person says something to you, he says, I want you to go up to that young man and smile and say, have a good day. Can you imagine the impact that has? I'm waiting to hear the response. But this is what Christians teach their children. You don't return evil for evil. And the heaping of, and this is the exact verse he cited, you heap coals upon their head by doing something good. Is an usher, and if you have ushers and greeters in your church, they should be greeting you with smiles. Why? You don't know what kind of day somebody had. Okay, regardless that, if you're out there, let me just make it as simple as this. If you're out there and you are a believer and you're out in the world, you know what one of your biggest weapons is? Your smile. All right? What do I mean by weapon? Your sword is the word of God. The smile disarms the enemy. What do I say that? I mean, yeah, he can still come at you with a sword or anything. But all those, if you return evil for evil, you turn it into a frown, you return anger for anger, you've given your enemy more weapons. I learned this too late in life. It's not like I didn't know it. I went through a horrible time in my life, and I was more thinking about the concept of retaliation. I was more thinking about it, but yet I was supposed to be doing the good for evil. Don't be thinking that way. Don't hold that evil in your heart. It is such a better life when you don't. You have reasons to celebrate. And Ed, that was perfect. Thank you. Nico, you wanted to share something, so let's have you do that.
Thank you. Yeah, a shameful shilling, but thank you for letting me do this. Just basically, real quick, I'm just living under my means. As pitiful as that sounds, it's true. But I do what I do online because I feel it's a moral imperative. It's something that it's my tithing, so to speak. So basically, StreamYard, my annual subscription is running out. The prices went up. Obviously, I can't afford to do that. These days, for me, $50 is a lot of money. So, anyways, I'm doing a little fundraiser via Patreon for 1 month. If you have money to burn, this is not something that's absolutely necessary. I can potentially continue to do things another way, but this will allow me to continue to do things the way I'm doing, like watch parties and so on, multi-stream, reaching bigger audiences. So if you have money to burn, please consider giving to my Patreon this 1 month. I have it up until April 8th before the subscription runs out. Again, thank you, Paul, for allowing me to do this.
I want to answer Vexline. I think his comment is so perfect. Let me put it right up here. I don't agree Christians should be pacifists. You know what? You're 100% right. Christians should never be pacifists. You want to know one of the best examples we have? King David. And that man was a warrior. All right. It says King Saul killed his thousands. King David killed his 10,000s. The women knew who they were. Yeah, they were, there is quite the statement. We are called to be men of God. We're called to be warriors. All right. We're not called to be little wimpy people. You will have a battle in front of you if you are a Christian. It's a war that is primarily spiritual. It's also physical. It's not just one or the other. It is both. You have to be careful. You have to be cautious. And you know what? I would say this over and over again. As much as you can, hold off. You only have two cheeks. When they're gone, I don't know if you've seen Michael Landon's, what was it, Highway to Heaven, or
Yeah.
yeah, and you would see in the video, in the movies, I call them videos now. Oh my gosh, in the TV shows. So someone would come up and punch him. He'd turn the cheek. They'd punch the other cheek. They go to punch him again, and he'd grab their hand. Oh, like, wait a minute. I thought you were supposed to turn the other cheek. Well, only have to. Jesus was a great teacher. He wasn't sitting there saying, you're supposed to take a beating.
No, he said 2 swords is enough.
Yeah. I will say this. There are times that you can be called to take that beating. And you'll know. God will tell you. And when that happens, here's what I'm going to tell you. I thoroughly believe. If God calls you to do that, he's going to do one of two things. Take away the pain and or the injury. Been in that situation. No injury. And strangely, no pain. But I was much, much, much younger. I don't think I'd know what to do today if I was in that situation. I'll be honest, I'm not going to say I have all the answers. And a lot of these things are of the moment. You have to be in that moment to think about things. And you can't always know the answers. I want to share one more thing out there before we start to close. Here we go. I just want to remind people to support my ministry. I'm out there. I've got books coming out. The Proverbs book, I'm having re-edited. And it is probably one of the best books for boys. We wrote it for preteen boys. There are stories in there. If you have our goal with writing that book was to get kids reading the Bible. You know what we did? We talked to those boys today. They are, wow. They are preteen boys. I think the oldest one is now 16 or 17. You know what? They're still reading. And we had them around the ages of 8 and 10. It's exciting. They haven't stopped. We just got them reading the Bible, and that's why I like that. Cancer Civilization Jihad won the International Impact Award. This one up here, Civilization Jihad and the Myth of Modern Islam, I keep getting asked to redo it. So that's going to happen. Well, it'll take a while, but it'll happen. All right. You're gonna see new covers on this. I just put requesting for new covers because I like the new covers and like these. We're gonna keep this theme. Those are the 4 books that just came out. If you're interested and you want a copy, you can also email me. We'll talk about how to do that. I charge $10 a book. I don't know what you can find them online. We'll talk about things. I'm just looking at this is what God is my biggest concern. These are what I call deep dives. I want you to be diving deep into the scriptures. And I just shared what I'm doing with Ed because I'm doing the most difficult thing I've ever done, which is I've read straight through prophecy. I've read straight through the Bible a couple times, but you know what? Maybe 3 or 4. I don't know how many times, to be honest. But when you start getting into scripture and you're not just reading through, it's a whole world of difference. And you learn on a different level. That's what these books are based on, these devotionals. So it's not a quick run through. It's what I call a deep dive. You're going to learn things you never expected. And I'm doing that right now with the book of Isaiah. I am in Isaiah and I am learning. In order to truly have a grasp of prophecy, you have to have an understanding of history. Well, that's easy to say. It's not easy to do. That means you have to go back. You have to go learn about the history. This is one where the world of the internet that exists today is a wonderful thing. It's easy to find things. I recommend the Blue Letter Bible to every person out there. That will help you. There's great amount of things in there, and if you can donate to them, great. God is good. That's just how I'm looking at what's going on. Ed, did you have any last word?
Yeah, I bought eSword and all the translations that can go with it. So I've got, and it was, I forget exactly how much it was. It was like $50 altogether.
Oh.
Yeah, it wasn't bad, but man, I've got so many different translations here.
That's what I like about this. Can you see this? Let me make sure you can see it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah. So you see the translations, and you know what got me? I didn't know New American Standard had different translations. Yeah. There's 2 different translations. I mean, there's a lot here. This is one of the reasons I like this. This is probably I use this online a lot, and what I like is the commentaries, and there's so many different things. I like free, but at the same time, you know, I've got to be a better steward of the sources I use, and I'll probably be sending these guys a little bit of money because they're like, if I go to, let's say Matthew 24, I'm just gonna pick 24, and I go there, I can click on tools. This is what I love. All right. Yeah. You can go there. You can see the Greek. You can come down here. This is the stuff you probably have on eSword too.
Yes, I do.
Good tools for searching your scripture will have these things. All right. Nobody expects you to learn Greek. Nobody expects you to learn Hebrew. But sometimes doing a little bit of research helps you. And you learn things you never expect. And this is one of the glorious things about sources like this. I highly recommend them. I highly recommend that you give to the organizations that put this kind of stuff out. You can look at the different translations. I love this part too, cross references. All right. So you can click on the different pieces, then it'll take you to the different scriptures and go straight there. Commentaries, there's a list of commentaries. Dictionaries. One of my big things, to be honest, is let's see if it's here. Maps. Yeah. I'm constantly finding that in order to truly understand scriptures, you often have to have a map in front of you. I'm going through Isaiah, and now I'm in Isaiah 19. I know where Egypt is. I have Usama's from Egypt. All right. And I'm going to be asking him a question tonight before I let him go about something that's in Isaiah 19 to make sure I'm not missing something, of something about the history. I'm going to share what I wrote, and I just want to see if he thinks I missed something. Because sometimes you just need to speak to somebody from that area. I was telling Ed earlier today, or was it last night? I was talking to him about how I have had a great professor, and he sat there with a whole bunch of people in his class. We're all Christians, we got different colors, we got different backgrounds, and this man walks up there. So we're all smiling, happy to be in class, and the class is on Revelation, the book of Revelation. And he looks at us, you guys are a bunch of idiots. This book was written for Jews, not you. And he starts to explain why. And I sat there, and he had just laid it out. This is a Jewish will. Do you think anybody but Jews are going to understand that this is a will? Unless you do some study, you're not going to know. There are certain things you're just not going to know. So this is where it pays off to have. Don't just accept what you're learning. Sometimes you got to ask others for help. And this is one of the reasons I like sources like this. I like people like that great man. His name was Mike Miles. He's since gone to be with the Lord. Exciting. All right, I got to say goodnight because I'm actually supposed to be someplace else right now. God bless everybody.
All right. God bless.
All right.